Hey guys, this is Matt with BleepinJeep.com, and today we're going to be installing these fender flares from Napier Precision Products onto this red XJ. So check that out. But first, check out my website, BleepinJeep.com. We've got all the best off-road videos on YouTube, none of the boring stuff. We've got hats and t-shirts, muffler bearings, flux capacitors, and discount coupon codes. So check that out, BleepinJeep.com. Also check out NapierPrecisionProducts.com, where you can find these fender flares for the Cherokees. They've also got some hood louvers and some other cool stuff. So check that out, NapierPrecisionProducts.com. Also, on the BleepinJeep website, we're going to be offering a special discount coupon code here pretty soon, where you can get these for a special price, only for you BleepinJeepers though. So check that out as well. Alright, so these are pretty awesome. They're heavy duty. They give you a little bit more clearance here, and I really like them. So we're going to install these here in just a second. First of all, I'm going to show you the tools that you'll need for the job. Okay, so you probably won't need all of these tools, but this is everything that I used. I've got some drills here, I've got some masking tape, I've got some cutting tools, a sawzall really helped out, and I've got an air die grinder here, and I've got some shears. You won't need those unless you really want to. I've got a hammer, a flashlight, some paint, some marking tools. I've got some more cutting tools over here, and I've got a couple wrenches. That's about it. Alright, now let's take a look at the flares themselves. Oh, didn't realize I was standing on one. These suckers are heavy duty. They go up a little bit higher. The original flare sits right about there. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the fender out just a little bit. We're going to use these flares as a template to do that. We're going to move it up higher, and then they just bolt on. On the back, it's pretty much the same process, but it comes in two pieces for the four-door Cherokee, and the second piece comes with the door, so it opens up with the door. When you close it, fits nice and tight. Everything looks really good. Alright, let's get started on the other side. Alright, so the first order of business is to take off the fender flares and the bumper caps. Now in this case, we've got an aftermarket bumper already, so we don't have any bumper caps. Now we just need to take off the fender flares. Also, you can take the wheels and tires off if you'd like, to give you a little more room, but in my case I've just jacked up the body on jack stands. That gives me plenty of room right here. And then you're going to take a 10mm wrench, and we'll just reach back here and take these nuts off. Alright, now if you snap off your nuts, don't worry about it, because this whole process is like marriage and you won't be needing them anymore. Alright, so the next step is to pull that rubber skirting out. We'll be trimming this and putting it back in a little bit later. And we'll do the same in the rear, and now we'll remove the bumper cap as well. To do that on the later model Cherokee, it's just a 10mm bolt right back here and a 1/4mm up front. I'm not sure why that uses a 1/4, but anyway, then it slides right off. There's a little sliding clip right here, and you just slide it back and it comes off. On the earlier model Cherokees, there's just some Torx head bolts right here, and this bumper cap is a lot shorter. Alright, now I'm just going to clean everything up a little bit and get all that dirt off of here. Alright guys, so the next step is very important. On the later model Cherokees, the windshield washer fluid is actually inside the fender. So either we need to take that out, or we need to be very, very careful when drilling the holes into the driver's side of the fender. On the passenger side, you don't have to worry about it, just on the driver's side. So what I'm going to do is take this out just to be precautious, and to do that, you're going to take this and you're just going to pry it out. Not real sure how that comes out, but it looks like there's going to be a bolt, and then it slides back and drops down. Then it looks like there's another one way down in here. Alright guys, so the next step is to hang this fender flare on the Jeep and mark it. Now if you have a buddy, this is going to come in handy. Or you can just use masking tape, and we're going to hang it up. So the first thing I'm going to do is wrap this masking tape all the way around once. and then twice. Alright, so now I can just take that off a little bit. We're going to get it in place. Now what you want to do is get it, you don't want it to be too high because you don't want it to be above this line right here. You also don't want it to be too far to the left or to the right. On this one, since I've already done the other side, I want to try and match it with that. So I'm also going to let it rest on the front bumper right there. That's how I did the other one. And once we get that in place, then we're going to go with the Sharpie and mark under here a line. Alright, so once you've got it right about where you want it, we're going to take a Sharpie and we're just going to go around the inside here and mark a line. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, you just want to get it close to the inside as you can here. And then what we're going to do is cut about a ½ inch higher than that, and then once we fit it in, this inside edge of the flare will go underneath the cut. Alright guys, so there's our line right there. What we're going to do is cut about a ½ inch on the outside of that line, so right up here. Also, if you have an earlier model Cherokee, you're going to want to cut straight across right here to your side marker. Also, I'm going to put a little bit of masking tape just on the outside of that line to protect the paint. In case I slip or something, I don't want to scratch up the paint. But after that cut, we are going to repaint this anyway. So. Alright guys, so here's the tool that I like to use for a job like this. It makes quick work of it. If you don't have this, don't worry though, you can use a angle grinder, you can use a Sawzall, you can even use tin snips if you really have to. Alright guys, now we're just going to test fit it real quick. What we're looking for is to make sure that the inner edge of the flare fits up nicely right under where we cut it there, and it does. That fits perfect. And try and match on the other side up here. That looks pretty good. And now what I'm going to do is mask this off a little more and spray paint the edges there so that we don't get any rust or anything like that. Alright guys, so the next order of business is to trim this piece right here. And to do that, I like to use a little air grinder. You can use a sharp knife if you like, or whatever you've got. The trick though is to take off a little bit at a time. If you just go whacking that right there, it's not going to fit. What we're going to have to do is try to adjust for this angle. So once this goes back in place, the edge of it is going to be right about that line, and then it's going to have to angle out this direction and then like this. So we're just going to take off a little bit at a time until it fits right. Something like that. And I'm going to intentionally cut it short so that I can check to see if that's going to work. Alright, so I intentionally cut it short for a reason. Good thing I did, because I need to change the angle a little bit. This edge needs to come out a little bit, and I need to angle that in a little bit differently. Alright, so the angles look pretty good right about there. The other side on that side is a little bit short, so I need to come over just a little bit more this way. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is take a 3/16 drill bit, and I'm just going to hold this up into place right where it needs to go and mark a little indentation right here. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and drill that out. And I'll just put a screw in there temporarily so that I can mark the rest of the holes. Alright, so I didn't drill those all the way through. I didn't want to mess up the plastic, but now I'm going to go ahead and drill them all. Okay, now that I've got the all the holes drilled up here, I can go ahead and put this back in place. And now we can put this fender bracket back in place there. Alright, so now we can take the hardware that comes with the flares, and we're just going to put one in each hole. Then once you do that, there is a little rubber spacer that goes on the back side right here. Now keep in mind that a couple of these holes on the driver's side here on the newer Cherokees has that washer fluid bottle back there. So on a couple of these I'm just going to shorten them a little bit. All the rest on the entire Jeep should be just fine. Alright, so I've got all the spacers in there. The kit also comes with this. It's a 3M adhesive strip, and it's kind of a trim strip or a molding strip that goes along the outside here, and it just makes for a nice tight clean fit. So you just peel the backing off here. You want to make sure it's kind of warm, otherwise this stuff doesn't work. So if it's cold outside, just kind of warm it up real quick, and we're just going to go around and stick it on here. Alright, now any sharp bends like that one right there, you can come back with a heat gun, heat it up a little bit, and just kind of mold it into place. Once it gets warm, just stick it down. Alright, now we're just going to go along and massage this like a Swedish masseuse. Alright, now don't forget to put your skirt back on. We'll just plop it back into place and reuse our doodads to stick it up in there. Okay, now take a razor knife and just cut off the excess, leaving a little bit left over at the edges here. Alright, now you might want to dab a little paint in each one of these holes, and then we can go ahead and put the fender on. I'm just going to move along, going one at a time, a little bit into each one. Alright guys, check it out. Looks pretty good. Now let's move on to the back. Alright guys, the rear is a little bit trickier. One, because there's two pieces that you have to fit up, and also because on the rear here we have spot welds, and this is the unibody, and everything's tied in together. We can't just go and cut all this out. So what we're going to have to do is mark some lines. We're going to have to cut vertical slots like this and bend everything back. It's not that difficult. We'll get to it.